twin moons hung low in the sky, casting an eerie silver glow over the wastelands. The wind howled through the jagged ruins, carrying the scent of rust, dust, and something else, something new. I tightened my grip on my plasma rifle and adjusted. My scanner, its green display flickering as it picked up an energy signature nearby. At first, I thought it was just another piece of wreckage, another artifact of a forgotten war. But then, the ground trembled. Something had crashed hard just beyond the ridge. My heart pounded as I sprinted toward the smoke curling into the night sky. The air crackled with residual energy, the kind left behind when something tears through the atmosphere too fast, too violently. I reached the crater's edge and peered down. What I saw nearly made me take a step back. At the center of the impact site lay a creature unlike anything I had ever seen. A woman, but not human. Not entirely. Her body was covered in sleek silver fur, streaked with glowing blue wounds that pulsed like embers. Her ears, sharp and pointed, twitched at every sound. Her long wolf-like tail lay limp against the cracked ground. And her face. It was strikingly beautiful, yet wild, framed by strands of silver hair that moved gently in the wind. She wasn't dead. Her chest rose and fell in shallow, uneven breaths. Her body trembled, trying to heal itself, but she was clearly too weak. I inched closer, careful not to startle her. "Hey, can you hear me?" Her golden eyes snapped open. A feral snarl ripped from her throat, and in an instant, she tried to push herself up, but her strength failed her. She collapsed again, panting, her claws digging into the dirt. "Easy, easy," I murmured, raising my hands to show I wasn't a threat. Her gaze flickered over me, filled with confusion, pain, and something else. Recognition? No. Instinct. She tried to speak, but all that came out was a rasped, alien-sounding word. Then, her body gave out, her eyes fluttering closed once more. I stood there, staring at her, my mind racing. Who was she? Where had she come from? And more importantly, who or what had done this to her? A distant rumble in the sky made my decision for me. If she had crashed here, it wouldn't be long before someone, or something, came looking for her. I had two choices: leave her to die, or save her and risk everything. Something deep inside me, something I didn't understand, made the choice before I could think twice. I bent down, carefully slipping my arms under her limp body. She was warm. Too warm. Her breathing hitched at my touch, but she didn't resist. As I lifted her into my arms, her head rested against my chest, and I felt the faintest vibration, a purr, before she lost consciousness entirely. I turned toward the dark horizon, my shelter just a few miles away. I didn't know what I had just gotten myself into, but I knew one thing for sure. This was only the beginning. The storm hit just as I reached my shelter. Cold winds howled through the wasteland, kicking up dust and debris. I kicked open the reinforced metal door and stepped inside, my muscles burning from carrying her all the way here. As the door sealed, shut behind me, cutting off the roar of the storm, silence filled the small space. I laid her down on the cot, carefully adjusting her weight so she wouldn't aggravate her wounds. Even in unconsciousness, she stirred, her ears twitching at the sound of my movements. Her breathing was still ragged, but at least it was steady. Up close, she looked even more alien. And yet, there was something hauntingly familiar about her. The way her silver hair draped over her face, the way her golden eyes had flickered with emotion before she blacked out, it was human in a way. I sighed, rubbing the tension from my neck. What the hell am I doing? Bringing an injured alien werewolf girl into my home? Bad idea. But leaving her out there to die? Worse. I grabbed the med kit from my supply shelf and crouched beside the cot. The blue glow from her wounds pulsed faintly, like embers trying to reignite. My fingers hesitated over them. What was this energy? Was it blood? Magic? Some kind of advanced biology? I shook my head. Questions could wait. She needed help now. I pulled out a sterilized cloth and reached for her arm, but the moment my fingers brushed her fur, she moved. Faster than I could react, she lunged. I barely had time to throw myself backward before she tackled me, pinning me to the cold metal floor. I gasped as claws pressed against my throat. Her golden eyes, now wide open, burned with raw, feral intensity. Her lips curled back, revealing razor-sharp fangs, and her entire body trembled with a mix of pain and instinctual rage. For a moment, neither of us moved. Then, she inhaled sharply. Her grip loosened slightly as she took a slow, deep breath, her nose inches from my neck. Her pupils dilated, her expression flickering between confusion and something deeper. You... Her voice was rough, unfamiliar with the language, yet melodic. I swallowed. Yeah, me. Her ears flicked, as if processing my words. Her claws retracted, and she shifted her weight off me, still staring. You saved me? The way she said it. It wasn't just a question. It was something else. As if the very idea was impossible to her. I slowly pushed myself up. Yeah, you crash-landed outside. You were dying. She looked down at herself, her glowing wounds still visible, but already knitting together. Her body was healing at an unnatural rate. Whatever she was built for survival. Then she turned her gaze back to me, and for the first time, I saw something other than wariness in her golden eyes, something that made my stomach twist. Recognition. She knew me, or at least she thought she did. You are... She hesitated, as if searching for the right word. Then her voice dropped to a whisper. Mine. I blinked. Excuse me? She reached out, slowly this time, her clawed fingers brushing against my chest. A strange energy passed between us. Something ancient, primal, undeniable. Her golden eyes locked onto mine. In my culture, she murmured, a life debt is sacred. You saved me. That means... She hesitated again, her tail twitching. You are my fated one. A heavy silence fell between us. I laughed nervously. I think there's been a misunderstanding, she growled softly, cutting me off. Not in anger, but in warning. No misunderstanding, she said, tilting her head. You saved me. You are my mate. I opened my mouth to argue, but then she leaned in closer. And for the first time, I felt something I never expected. Not fear, not confusion. Something deeper, something dangerous. Because as much as I wanted to deny it, some part of me wanted to believe her. The word mate hung in the air between us, heavy with meaning I wasn't sure I wanted to understand. I swallowed hard. Listen, I think you're confused. Her golden eyes didn't waver. If anything, they softened, but only slightly. No confusion, she said firmly. You saved me. That bond cannot be broken. I ran a hand through my hair, exhaling. This was insane. A werewolf alien girl had crash-landed on my planet, declared me her mate, and was now staring at me, like I was the center of her universe. I wasn't sure whether to be flattered or terrified. Okay, I said carefully, trying a different approach. Maybe where you're from, that's how things work. But here, humans don't just claim each other like that. She tilted her head slightly, her silver ears twitching. Strange. Yeah, well, I sighed. We have this thing called free will. She narrowed her eyes, clearly not convinced. Then, to my surprise, She let out a low, thoughtful purr. Not a growl, not a snarl, a purr. I blinked. Are you purring? Her expression remained unreadable. Your scent is soothing. My what? She suddenly moved closer, inhaling deeply near my neck. I froze. Every instinct in me screamed to back away. But something, some strange pull, kept me rooted, in place. You smell of stars and fire, she murmured, her voice softer now. Of battle and survival. You are strong. I forced a chuckle, trying to ignore the way my heart was hammering. That's just sweat and engine grease, she smirked, a sharp, knowing kind of smirk, the kind that sent a shiver down my spine. Deny it if you wish, she said, pulling back slightly. But the bond is there. I feel it. And so do you. Damn it. I hated how she said it with such certainty. Because the terrifying truth. Some part of me did feel it. I thought she'd leave once she was strong enough. That was how it usually worked in my life. People came, people went. But she didn't leave. Instead, she followed me everywhere. If I was repairing my scavenged tech, she watched, her ears flicking at every click and spark of machinery. If I went outside to gather supplies, she walked beside me, her steps perfectly in sync with mine. If I ate, she ate. If I slept, she stayed nearby, curled up like some kind of massive predatory guard dog. And whenever I woke up, I could feel her watching me. Not in a creepy way. Not in a hostile way, but in a way that sent an undeniable warmth through my chest. I should have been uncomfortable. I should have told her to stop. But I didn't, because against all logic, I didn't want her to stop. One night, as we sat outside beneath the twin moons, she finally asked the question I'd been dreading. Why do you resist? I paused, poking at the fire between us. Resist what? The bond. Her voice was steady, but there was something uncertain underneath. I sighed. Because I'm human, and you? A warrior of the Luvaran pack, she finished for me. Yes, I know. She looked up at the sky, her golden eyes reflecting the moons. But I also know what I feel. I hesitated. And what is that? She turned her gaze back to me. Something I have never felt before. Her words sent a strange, unexpected warmth through me. I have fought wars, she continued, her voice softer now. I have lost too many. I thought my fate was to die with my pack. Alone. She looked at me then, her expression unguarded. But you saved me. I swallowed, unsure how to respond. She leaned forward slightly. Does that mean nothing to you? I wanted to tell her it was just instinct, that I would have saved anyone in her position. But that would have been a lie, because the truth was, I couldn't imagine a universe where I had left her behind. She studied my silence, then did something that caught me completely off guard. She reached out, slowly, carefully, and placed her hand against my chest, right over my heart. Her touch was warm. Too warm. You hesitate, she murmured, but your heart does not. I exhaled, trying to ignore the way my pulse betrayed me. Then, before I could stop her, she leaned in and pressed her lips to mine. It wasn't rushed. It wasn't desperate. It was deliberate. A slow, lingering claim, one that burned through every last defense I had left. And against all logic, against every reason I should have pushed her away. I kissed her back. For that single, infinite moment, there was no war, no past, no future. Just the undeniable truth. I wasn't resisting her anymore. I didn't know how long the kiss lasted. Seconds, minutes, an eternity. But when she finally pulled back, My breath was uneven, my pulse racing like I'd just stepped off a battlefield. She watched me with that same intensity, her golden eyes glowing softly in the moonlight. There was no arrogance in her gaze, no triumph, just quiet certainty. "You understand now," she murmured. I swallowed hard, my mind still trying to process what had just happened. A sound tore through the night, low, menacing. I shot to my feet, instincts screaming. The firelight flickered against the jagged rocks, casting long shadows. The air shifted, thick with an energy I didn't like. She was already moving, her ears twitching, her body tense, her golden eyes sharpened into slits. "We are not alone," she said. That was an understatement. From the darkness, they emerged. 6 figures, hulking, broad, and wrapped in armor that shimmered with an unnatural sheen. Their movements were calculated, precise. Hunters. My gut twisted. They weren't here for me. They were here for her. She didn't hesitate. In one fluid motion, she stepped in front of me, her claws flexing, her silver tail lashing behind her. Her posture was defensive, but her growl was filled with pure, unrelenting fury. The largest of the figures stepped forward. Unlike the others, his armor bore a mark I didn't recognize, a sigil burned into the metal. When he spoke, his voice was like gravel and fire. "Louvaran stray," he rumbled. "Your kind is extinct." Her muscles coiled, her breath sharp. "You should have killed me when you had the chance." The hunter tilted his head. "We will." Everything happened at once. One of them lunged. She met him mid-air, claws flashing as they clashed with brutal force. The impact sent a shockwave through the ground. I barely had time to react before another hunter charged straight at me. Adrenaline kicked in. I dove to the side, barely dodging the razor-sharp blade that sliced through the air where I had just been. I wasn't a warrior. Not like her. But I had survived the wastelands long enough to know when to fight dirty. The hunter recovered quickly, his weapon gleaming under the twin moons. He lunged again. I reached for the nearest thing I could grab, a jagged metal rod from my salvaged supplies. As he swung, I dodged and slammed the rod against his visor with everything I had. The metal cracked. He staggered back, dazed. That was all I needed. I wrenched the weapon from his grip and, before he could react, drove the hilt straight into his throat. He choked, collapsing with a gurgle. One down. I turned just in time to see her take down 2 more, her claws slicing through their armor like it was paper. She moved like lightning, her silver fur streaked with blood that wasn't her own. But there were still too many. She knew it too. Her breathing was heavier now, her movements a little slower. She was wounded. I gritted my teeth. No, I wasn't losing her. I ran toward her, my mind racing for a plan. The lead hunter raised a pulse rifle and aimed directly at her exposed back. No, I didn't think. I moved. With everything I had, I threw myself between them just as he fired. The blast hit me square in the chest. Pain, white hot, all-consuming. I hit the ground hard, the world spinning, my vision blurred, and the sounds of battle muffled around me. I felt her presence almost instantly. She was there, kneeling beside me, her hands pressing against my wound. Her breathing was frantic. "No, no, no, no." I tried to speak, but my throat was thick with blood. Her ears flattened, her claws trembling as she gripped me. "Why?" Her voice cracked. "Why did you—" I managed a weak smirk. Free will. A strangled sound left her lips, something between a growl and a sob. Then her golden eyes shifted. Something inside her broke open. She stood slowly, turning to face the remaining hunters. And I saw it. The exact moment when she stopped fighting to survive and started fighting to destroy. With a feral snarl, she launched herself at the nearest enemy. But this wasn't like before. This wasn't calculated. This was raw, merciless vengeance. She tore through them like they were nothing. 1, 2, 3. By the time the last hunter hit the ground, her fur was drenched in blood, her chest heaving. Then she turned back to me, dropping to her knees. I could barely keep my eyes open. My body was shutting down, the cold creeping in fast. She grabbed my face, her hands shaking. "Stay with me." I tried to. I really did. But my vision darkened. The last thing I saw was her golden eyes, filled with something I had never seen before. Desperation. And then nothing. Warmth. It was the first thing I felt. Not the burning agony of a wound. Not the cold grip of death. Just warmth. Something soft pressed against my chest. A rhythmic sound, steady and familiar. A heartbeat. I wasn't dead. My eyelids felt like lead, but I forced them open. Soft light. The scent of earth and metal. The distant hum of an energy field. I wasn't outside anymore. I was somewhere safe. A shadow hovered over me. Silver fur, golden eyes burning like twin suns. She was there. Her expression was unreadable at first, like she wasn't sure if she should be relieved or furious. Then her ears twitched and her jaw tightened. "You're awake." I tried to sit up, but a sharp pain lanced through my chest. Right, shot in the chest. Her hands were on me instantly, firm but gentle. "Don't move," I exhaled, sinking back into the cushions beneath me. "Where?" My voice was dry, barely above. A whisper. She hesitated. "A safe place." That didn't answer anything, but my brain was too foggy to argue. Instead, I focused on her. She looked different. Not physically, but there was a shift in her presence. She wasn't just watching me anymore. She was guarding me. Like she had already decided that no force in the universe was ever going to hurt me again. I cleared my throat. "How bad is it?" She frowned, her claws flexing. "The wound was deep. You lost too much blood." Her voice was calm, but I could hear the strain beneath it. I blinked. "Then why am I still alive?" She hesitated. Then, with slow, deliberate movement, she pulled back the fabric covering my chest. I sucked in a breath. The wound was still there, but instead of raw, torn flesh, there was a jagged mark etched into my skin. A swirling pattern of dark silver, pulsing faintly with energy. It wasn't a scar, it was something else. "What the hell is that?" I rasped. She didn't answer immediately. Instead, she pressed a hand over it, and heat radiated through me. It wasn't painful, it was comforting, like a fire on a cold night. Then she met my gaze. A bond mark, a shiver ran through me. A what? Her ears flattened slightly, like she wasn't sure how I'd react. "In my culture, when two souls are bound, their fates become one. Your body was dying, so I..." She exhaled. "I shared my life force with you." My breath hitched. She had saved me, but not just in a normal way. This was something deeper. "You healed me." Yes, but it was more than that. Her claws dug into her palms. "I tethered you to me." My heart pounded. "Meaning?" She looked at me like she was waiting for me to understand on my own. And maybe I did. Maybe I'd known from the moment I woke up and felt that strange, impossible warmth inside me. I wasn't just me anymore. Some part of her was inside me now. Connected, permanent. "You're my mate," she said softly. "Whether you accept it or not." Silence stretched between us. This wasn't just some cultural ritual. This was real. This was soul deep. And the craziest part? Some part of me wasn't afraid. I let out a slow breath. "You really think we were meant to be bonded?" She didn't hesitate. "I don't think. I know." I didn't have the strength to argue. Maybe I didn't even want to. I closed my eyes for a long moment, letting the warmth of her presence settle into my bones. "So what now?" I finally asked. She smirked, a sharp, knowing kind of smirk. Now? She leaned closer, her golden eyes flickering with something dangerous and protective. Now you're mine. Her words lingered in the air between us. Now you're mine. Something about the way she said it sent a shiver down my spine. Not fear, never fear. It was something older, something that spoke to the deepest part of me. A call to something primal, something inevitable. I had always lived alone. I had always fought alone. But now, I wasn't alone anymore. I swallowed hard, my chest still aching from the wound. Or rather, the bond mark. And what exactly does that mean? She tilted her head, the glow of her golden eyes never wavering. It means that no matter where you go, I will feel you. Her claws traced lightly over the mark on my chest. Your pain is my pain. Your strength is my strength. I let out a breath I hadn't realized I was holding. That's a lot, I admitted. Her expression softened just slightly. I know. Silence settled between us. Not uncomfortable, but heavy with meaning. I thought about what had led me here. Finding her injured in the wastelands. Saving her. The battles. The danger. And now this. This connection that neither of us could undo. I should have been terrified. Instead, all I could think was, maybe I was always meant to find her. A sudden sound from outside broke the quiet. A faint hum, almost mechanical. My instincts flared. She heard it too. Her ears twitched, and in an instant, she was moving, silent, graceful, lethal. I forced myself to sit up, gritting my teeth against the lingering pain. More of them? She didn't answer. She didn't have to. I reached for my weapon, even though I knew I was in no shape to fight. But if they came for her, I would stand. I would fight. I wasn't losing her. Not now. Not ever. She glanced at me, reading my expression in an instant. And then, for the first time, she smiled. Not just a smirk. Not the sharp confidence of a warrior. A real smile. Stay behind me, she murmured. I'll handle it. I shook my head. We handle it. Something flickered in her eyes. Pride, acceptance. She nodded once, and then, together, we stepped into the unknown. The end, or the beginning. What happens next? Should they run, fight, build a new life together? Comment below and let me know what you'd do if you were in his place.